Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends, as this video is brought to you by drroto.com.
What is going on, everybody? It's week 10 or week 9? I think I wrote week 9, but it's week 10. It is week 10 for the college football. I'm your host, Emrick. I am joined by the star of the show, the guy that has the information, Coach White. Tell us about your game plan this week.
Absolutely. So we got a bunch of high-scoring options, 2 games over 70-point totals, and 2 other games at high 60-point totals. So, I mean, we got a ton of options to choose from. Really, it's kind of finding out what game stack we want to target. But, I mean, like you said, if you've been following college football, we all know that everybody's looking at that Wake Forest-UNC game, who's right now sitting at a 76.5 total. But both those quarterbacks are sitting at $10,000. So, it's going to be a tough choice. We're going to try to fit in some value here. And right now we got a lot of breaking injury news that I've been waiting on. So as we're doing this live cast, my goal is to try to find some value in these injuries because we got a lot of big names that are out today that just came out. Unexpected. So let's get after it, man.
All right, yeah. So let's start with that UNC Wake game and just kind of a thought that I had when I was looking through the prices. Like you said, the quarterback's pretty expensive. Even the wide receivers are priced up, and justifiably so. But there is one piece of that UNC offense that is very affordable and has done well in high-scoring games, and that's Ty Chandler at 6,600. Look, this Wake Forest team had a hard time stopping the run against a couple weeks ago, but that's all Army does. So
yeah.
How are we feeling about Ty Chandler? Is that a place that we can go in this game to get some savings?
Yeah, so I like Ty Chandler, but I really think, like you said it, with Wake Forest has been gashed by running quarterbacks, actually. So we saw it against Syracuse a few weeks ago that Garrett Schrader scored 46 DraftKings points, ran for over 170 yards. The week before that, Malik Cunningham from Louisville ran for over 100 yards. And Sam Howell has ran for over 100 yards in 5 of his 9 games this year. So I think that he's going to get that 3-point bonus, easily rush for over 100 yards here. And in a 76-point total, I'm actually going to take him over Sam Hartman. I think Ty Chandler's a great option at 66. I mean, he's one of the better values in this game. But if we're looking for rushing upside, I think Sam Howell is just as good of a chance to get to that 100-yard rushing bonus as Ty Chandler, as well as throwing in those touchdowns. So we really need Ty Chandler at 6,600 to get in the end zone 2 times minimum to reach his value. He's just not catching the ball like I expected he would. He transferred out of Tennessee, and that's all he did. He was the receiving back. But he's just been nonstop running the ball. I mean, Sam Howell does not check down to his running backs. He'd rather just tuck it himself. So that's where he's losing his value, is in reception. So if I'm playing a running back for this North Carolina team, it's going to be Sam Howell this week.
Okay. Are there any games that we are just going to ignore, or other games that we want to kind of target? Where are we looking at as the overall slate before we jump into the lineup building here?
Yeah, let's just stay away from that Navy-Notre Dame game. Super low total, mid-40s. Notre Dame, they're kind of still figuring out with their quarterbacks. They're flip-flopping Jack Cohn and Tyler Buckner over and over again, so we don't really know who's going to be throwing the ball there. Navy tends to keep the game close, so when we get to our parlay, we're going to be taking Navy at plus 21 because they're just a team that runs the ball and keeps any game close, even against good competition. So we'll definitely stay away from that game today. Outside of that, there's pieces in almost every game that we can target. We're just trying to break down, like that Georgia-Missouri game. We can always find a running back against Missouri. We've talked about that. That's been a theme all season. We can even get to the 3rd-string running back in that game for Georgia because they're probably going to win 50-7. So that might be a game I stay away from outside of the running backs. But other than that, man, it's full go. We got pieces in every game to look at.
All right. Well, let's get it capped and let's get it going. And I did not mean to full screen this. Okay. Well, that's exit full screen. There we go. All right. So let's talk about it. So are we going to start and just build in Sam Howell? Is that where we're going, or do we have another place that we want to start with our lineup here?
It's been really tough to fit him in because there's just so much value at wide receiver, so many high-priced wide receivers that I'm looking at this week. So I actually like taking Tanner Mordecai at 9,000 for SMU.
Okay.
That's another 70 plus total game, and Memphis has been giving up 35 to 40 points a game, and Mordecai averages at least 30 points in any matchup. And this Memphis team really struggles against the passing attack, and that's what Mordecai does. So we're gonna lock in Mordecai, and then I want you to go to wide receiver for SMU because we got one right away that we're going to target in Danny Gray at 6,200. He is the highest price wide receiver for them, but he's the big play threat. He's got the best chance to give us 30 points out of that wide receiving core. The thing that Mordecai does, though, is he spreads the ball out so well. It's kind of like Wake Forest and Sam Hartman. 1 week it's A.T. Perry. 1 week it's Jakari Roberson. The next it's Taylor Morin. It's the same issue with Mordecai, but Danny Gray does see about 9 targets every game, and he would get the most air yards, if you will. I mean, he's the one that gets all these deep catches. So I like Danny Gray at 6,200.
Okay. So are we running it back with somebody in that game, or are we going elsewhere to fill out some of our other positions?
Yeah, so right now, some breaking news just came out, and Brandon Thomas, the running back from Memphis, is out now, and he was at 6,200. So now we've unlocked some value. A 3,800 running back in Rodriguez Clark. He's listed as questionable, but he was just seen out in warmups and in pads. So I think he gets to start at 3,800, and that was value I wasn't expecting until about 10 minutes ago. And I know that Memphis is going to try to slow the game down. So if they get the ball first, I feel like Rodriguez Clark, if they get on the board, he's going to be the one running in that first touchdown. And that's going to be their game plan, is try to slow it down to keep SMU off the field. So that's where I would go with it. And if he doesn't play for some reason, if we get late breaking, and I'll post it in Discord, we would instantly pivot to Markevius Weaver at 3,300. He would be the next in line in that running back committee.
Okay, well, fantastic. I mean, I would think even at that price, if this is a high-scoring game, you could possibly even consider in large fields going with both Clark and Weaver.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would venture to guess these guys probably share the backfield. I don't know, but it would unlock some other options for you elsewhere. So you are looking for a very specific kind of game script at that point to occur, but it sounds like that's completely plausible. So that may be something to look to in some of the largest field tournaments that we have.
Absolutely. So another wide receiver I'm looking at is going to be Chris Olave from Ohio State. So we just got news, and I really wish he was playing. Garrett Wilson, you see that out next to his name, 7,100. He's a top wideout for Ohio State, and they spread the ball between Olave and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So now Smith and Jigba and Chris Olave are going to get all the targets. But I loved Olave before the Wilson news, so now it's almost a lock button at 6,900. He's got a path to 3 touchdowns now instead of his 2, which is what I was projecting. So I love Chris Olave at 69. Let's just put him in. What is Smith and Jigba's salary? I wasn't looking at him before the Wilson news, so let's check that out before we move on.
He's at 5,800.
I mean, go look at his targets, man. He's been I guess they don't show the targets, but he's averaging 6 receptions a game. But those are normally against good secondary. So let's just play Olave and move on from that game. I really do like Olave, though.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like if we were going to do that, we would have to kind of think about locking in Stroud down at the super flex, and just you got 2 receivers. We kind of need the quarterback at that point.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, let's go back to running back. Let's try to find us a solid running back. I really like at 7,300 Abram Smith for Baylor against TCU. TCU's in shambles right now, and in any game that Baylor's projected to win, they're just pounding the rock with Smith. He's going to have those games where he only gets 1 touchdown, and Ebner might steal one, Bohannon will rush in the quarterback for a touchdown. But Abram Smith has a path to at least 2 touchdowns in this matchup. 7,300. It would be him or Zamir White for Georgia, but I feel like Zamir White at 7,100 is going to get game planned out by halftime. Like, they are going to just destroy this Missouri team. He could have 102 in the first half and get pulled, but I think I would rather play almost a 3rd string running back for Georgia instead of paying up for 7,100 for White.
Got it. All right. Well, we've got 3 positions left at that point. We've still got a wide receiver, our flex, and of course our super flex. We're sitting around 5,600 for average salary. Do we want to go try and grab one of those more premium positions, or do we want to go ahead and grab one of these wide receivers in the more value range?
Let's try to find a value at wideout. Let's see. So we have 5,600, you said?
5,600 is the average. So, I mean, somewhere in that,
Okay.
we don't want to go probably too much higher than, 6 or probably like 65 to 45 is probably a safe number. The
Yeah.
guy that pops here from an average standpoint is Carlos Carrier from Maryland. I don't know if that's just based off. Yeah, it's based off of very limited games. So,
Yeah,
sometimes
limited
it's
games.
interesting.
That was when Demas went out. He started taking over for them, but they're playing against Penn State. I'm not going to really touch that game much. If I played anybody in that game, it would be Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver for Penn State, but he's priced too high. So let's actually look. Let me see if I can get a update on this. I've been waiting on these Ole Miss wide receivers. There's 2 or 3 that are questionable right now. So we're going to get a ton of value in the Ole Miss wide receiver core if we get some news here right before this game. Still nothing. All right. Well, I do love at 4,300, we have Chris Kelly. So he's going to be Ole Miss wide receiver. And if for any reason, or Casey Kelly, if any reason Braylon Sanders doesn't play, right below him, you see that questionable tag.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't play, Casey Kelly's the guy that takes over. And also Dontario Drummond, their number 1 wide receiver is questionable. So he's got another path towards 3 or 4 extra targets. I really like him at 4,300. Again, it's going to come down to Discord at about 11:50 when they put their final rosters out. I'm going to be messaging everybody and letting you know if he's in or not.
All right, well, I'm going to throw a couple value wide receivers before we kind of make this decision and just see what you think. I've got one right here. It is going to be none other than John Reyes Plumlee, 3,200 for miss. How do you feel about that? Doesn't look like he's got a ton of action, but he projects kind of well in this game.
Yeah, he was a quarterback converted wide receiver, so he's kind of a gadget player. And they really don't utilize him like they should. I mean, there's a chance that he gets there, but they really started throwing the ball to Ja'Cour Pearson at 4,900 last week. You'll see as soon as Dontario Drummond went out in that game, he was the one that instantly took over. 7 receptions, 135 yards. So if I was going to pay up for the Ole Miss wide receiver, I mean, 4,900 is not really paying up for a game that's projected 67.5. He would be the guy outside of Kelly that I would target. So
okay,
honestly,
so
let's just put him in. Let's put Pearson in. I like that play. Let's go there. Because no matter what,
I've got a couple other to run by you, but we'll lock him in first. But I'm going to go to the Tulsa team. Josh Johnson and Juan Carlos Santana.
Yeah, I mean, those are names, but they're playing Cincy. And I told you, we don't attack their secondary. That's just a team.
Gotcha.
We do not mess with Cincinnati secondary. They could win that game 42-0. And I think if we were going to play anybody in that game, it would be Jerome Ford, who could rush for 4 touchdowns at 8,300.
Got it. Okay. Well, hey, we're at 5,900. We've got our flex. We've got our super flex. Where are we going here?
Yeah. So, okay. I really like Grant Calcuttara for SMU. If we're really hammering that game stack, he's at 4,000. He's the tight end for them. You'll find him at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging about 10 points a game, but there's certain games in these high-scoring games where he gets, 20 to 16 points, and he's averaging a minimum of 6 targets a game. He might not always get the receptions, but against this Memphis team, I feel like he has a path to a touchdown in the red zone, and hopefully Memphis just keeps putting points on the board, so Mordecai has to throw. And in this high total, I don't see them slowing down, and Calcaterra is a tight end that they have not faced yet. So I highly recommend Calcaterra at 4K. It's a very cheap price for a good piece.
Before we move on to the last piece, that gives us 7,900 to go to.
Nice.
What about, as you can see where I'm clicked here, what about a guy like Kai Thomas?
Yeah, so I actually love Kai Thomas. He was in my write-up this week, and he's the number 1 right now for Minnesota. You'll see that Marquise Irvin is listed at 6,300. But they were up so much early against Northwestern. They just, all right, here, Irving, take the run. But Kai Thomas has seen 21 rushes in his back-to-back games ever since Well, let's see. Brandon Williams went down. Mo Ibrahim went down. Trey Potts went down. So now he's a redshirt freshman and just kind of taking over that backfield. And Minnesota's back to rushing the ball 45 times a game. So I love him at 5K. If you wanted to take out Calcuttara and put him in at 5K at our flex, then we could find another value at probably, what, 6,900 now? Is that what we have left?
Yeah, well, let's take a look and see what that leaves us with. So it's 6,900. We've got a variety of guys here. We've got a lot of quarterbacks that we can look at. We've got a couple running backs. If we went up to that 7,900, it does open up things for us in terms of like, David Bell. We could even go and get like a Bohannon. I mean,
even, we talked about our first talk of the game was Ty Chandler at 6,600. If we wanted a piece of that game, that's a very interesting play right there. I don't mind Ty Chandler. He just needs to, rush in a couple touchdowns for us, which he has the ability to do. So I like that play quite a bit at 6,600, if that's what we're left with. Tay Martin could play well for Oklahoma State, but I just feel like they're going to run the ball out. Texas A&M, Devin A-Chain is the second running back. We don't want to play him at that price. Right. And Ty Chandler really is the best play at that price tag.
All right. I love it. Let's do it. Let's roll with it. We just got to make sure that Clark's in, and then we'll have we'll pivot if that's the case, or, down, we'll have extra 500. Maybe we'll make an upgrade somewhere. All right. So we've got these lineups. Now it's time to go to the sports book. It's time to log in.
Marley, let's hit it.
All right. So the first thing you said, we are going to that Notre Dame game, and we are taking the dog. We are taking the points. Let's do it. What time is that game at?
That one is, I believe, a noon game. It might be 2:30 even. Notre Dame always plays at 2:30. And they're home, so. Keep scrolling.
Maybe later then. There it is. It's actually at 3:30. Okay, so we are taking Navy. We got it. Who else are we going to?
I like Pittsburgh they were at minus 21. They were the noon game as well. Pittsburgh against Duke. Are they still at plus 21 or minus 21?
Yes, they are.
Okay, yeah, lock that in. I think they smashed Duke. That's just a great passing attack that doesn't let up. Let's see. Outside of that, I really like Auburn at plus 5 against Texas A&M. I feel like Auburn's just a better team than this A&M. It could be a slow game, and it might come down to the last play of the game before we find out what that total is going to be. But I really do think that Auburn wins that game. So let's play that. Wake Forest, they were at plus 2.5, and I think they beat this UNC team. I think they're going to shock some people and go 8-0. Or actually, no, they'd be 9-0. So they're going to continue that undefeated season by beating North Carolina at North Carolina.
Okay.
And then last one, let's see. I like SMU to beat Memphis, and I had it at minus 3.5. I think that's what it's at. So that should be our 5-pick parlay. Let's lock it in.
Let's do it.
Looks good, man. All right, so you've been following it. Is there any games that you were looking at, now that you have a little bit more college football knowledge, anything that you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I mean, I follow a couple people. I did take some bets on, let's see, Tennessee. I think I took a bet -1, I think it was, or it's actually at a pick.
Yeah, even money, against Kentucky. Well, nice.
That was one, and oh man, there were a couple other ones, but I don't really have any analysis. I was just trailing picks. That's all I was doing.
Sure. I was talking more on the DFS side because I know you've been looking at that.
Oh yeah, no, I really, Ty Chandler was where I kind of start and finished.
Okay.
I kind of glanced at it real quick. I looked at your game plan earlier, so I kind of knew that 4K tight end was going to pop up. I didn't have an opinion one way or the other, but I did glance through it. I was looking for Ty Chandler. I was really broken up that I didn't see him in the primary plays, but I saw him in the roundouts, so that was good. I just knew that he looked a lot cheaper than he should have been. So.
Yeah, I mean it's a great price. It really is. It just never worked in my lineup, so he wasn't like a mainstay, but it worked well in that lineup. So
that extra value really kind of opened it up.
For sure. All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, this was a quick one, but we got through it. We're gonna crush it. We've been on the cash line. We've been, last week was I think last week was one of our tougher weeks in the bets, but look, that's okay. It was probably my most abysmal week in NFL DFS. So you have weeks like that. We're gonna bounce back here. We're gonna crush it. I'm excited.
Me too, man. All right. Well, that's the game plan, everybody. Trust the process. Have some fun today.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Oh, wait, we actually had a comment. Here we go.
And an RB pickle. NFL. Fair enough.
Yeah, look, hey, we'll answer this question. Probably not. I don't know. I don't think that I would. I mean, unless if your team's competing and you absolutely need it, I think James Conner has some value, but it just really is dependent on where your team is. I don't want to give away that value if I'm a middle of the pack team, but if I am sitting in the playoffs, my schedule projects well, the rest of my team's good. Yeah, I think you can definitely do that. I've been trying to unload a bunch of my team players in a keeper league because I'm 1-6-1 and it seems pretty much over for me. So I'm trying to stockpile some draft picks. I'm on the other side of this.
That's sound analysis right there. It's exactly how I would approach it.
All right. Well, fantastic, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. You can find us here every single week at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can also find us for more DFS NFL content over at drroto.com at 10:30. The doc and I go through a start and sit dealing with seasonal questions like the one that we have on the screen here, and then also kind of the DFS angle to that. That goes from about 10:30 to 11:30, maybe 12. It just depends on the week. And we answer all your questions there in the Discord. So go ahead and check it out. We have a Discord-only package now, so you can get access to that without some of the other content and a little bit of a discount. So other than that, thanks for watching and have a good one.